You're watching someone less qualified than you get job offer after job offer. They don't have your degree, they don't have your experience, and yet they're getting callbacks while you're getting ghosted. Here's what's making you crazy. You're doing everything the internet tells you to do. You're customizing your resume, you're using keywords, you're applying to 50 jobs a week, and still nothing. Meanwhile, there's this other person. Maybe you know them, maybe you've just seen their LinkedIn updates, and they seem to just waltz into opportunities. What do they have that you don't? I'm Mary Southern, founder of Resume Assassin. And over the last decade, I've helped over 4,000 people land jobs at Microsoft, Google, Tesla, Netflix, and so many more. And I'm going to tell you something that might piss you off at first. The issue may not be your resume. It's probably not your experience. It's not even the job market. The top candidates I've worked with, the ones who get multiple offers, who have recruiters chasing them, who seem to have unlocked some secret, they're all doing something fundamentally different than you. And it's not what you think. Most people believe job searching is about proving that you're qualified. Top candidates know it's about something else entirely. They flip the script in a way that changes everything, from how they write their resume to how they walk into an interview. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what that is. Not vague advice like be confident or network more. I'm talking about the specific tactical shifts that separate people who get hired from people who get ignored. These are things you can implement today, like as soon as this video ends. We're going to cover 5 specific things top candidates do that average candidates don't even think about. And I'm warning you, some of this is gonna feel really uncomfortable at first. It goes against what most career coaches tell you, but I've seen it work over 2,000 times. Let's get into it. Think about the last time you went on a really bad date. That person was so eager, so available, so willing to be whatever you wanted them to be. How did that feel? Desperate, right? Kind of off-putting? Now, think about someone you actually wanted to date. They were interested, sure, but they also had standards. They asked you questions. They had their own life. They made you work for it a little bit. That's the energy difference between average candidates and top candidates. Here's what's really wild. I can tell within the first 3 sentences of a resume if someone's going to get the job. And it's not because of their qualifications, it's literally because of their energy. Average candidates write things like, I would be thrilled for the opportunity to contribute to your team. I'm passionate about this role. I believe I would be a great fit. You know what top candidates write? Based on your recent expansion into the European market, it seems like you're solving for X. I've done exactly that at my current company, and here's what I've learned. Do you see the difference? One is begging, one is evaluating. When you approach a job search like you're begging for someone to pick you, everything changes. Your body language in interviews becomes apologetic. Your salary negotiations become really weak. Your questions become softball. But when you approach it like dating, like this is a mutual selection process where you are also deciding if they are a good fit for you, everything shifts. Let me give you the exact tactical change you need to make today. Stop asking questions like, what does a typical day look like? Start asking questions like, what would success look like in this role in the first 90 days? And what's currently preventing your team from achieving that? Stop saying things like, I'm really excited about this opportunity. Start saying things like, based on what you've shared, this role aligns with where I want to take my career, especially around X. You're not being arrogant here. You're being really selective. And ironically, selectivity makes you more attractive to hiring managers, not less. Think about it like if you were at a coffee shop. If someone comes up to you and says, please, please, let me buy you a coffee. I'll do anything. You seem so amazing. I'd be so lucky. You're running completely away. I know I'm running in a completely different direction. But if someone says, hey, I noticed you're reading that book. I just finished it. Want to grab a coffee and compare notes? That's interesting. That's really intriguing. Same energy. Same energy, different outcome. Here's your action item. Go through your resume and cover letter right now. Every time you see apologetic or pleading language, reframe it as confident and evaluative. You're not trying to convince them. You're showing them what they're getting. Here's something nobody tells you. Job postings aren't wish lists. They're panic buttons. Companies don't post jobs because everything's going really great. They post jobs because something is broken. Someone quit or they're drowning, literally. Average candidates read a job description and think, do I check these boxes? Top candidates read between the lines and think, what disaster are they trying to solve? Let me give you a quick example. I had a client, okay, her name is Jessica, and she was applying for a marketing role at a tech startup. The job description said, like, your typical stuff, right? So manage social media campaigns, create content, analyze metrics, pretty boring. Everyone can say that they do that. But Jessica did something that most people don't. She went straight detective mode, okay? She looked at the company's recent LinkedIn posts. She noticed they hadn't posted in 3 months. So she checked their blog. Last post, it was 6 months ago. She looked at their competitors. All of them were actively posting, running campaigns, gaining followers. So when Jessica wrote her cover letter, she didn't talk about her passion for marketing. She wrote, I noticed your content production has slowed significantly in the last quarter, while your competitors are gaining market share. At my last company, I inherited a similar situation. Content had stalled. Engagement was down 40%. Within 90 days, I rebuilt the content engine and increased engagement by 130%. Here's how I'd approach the same problem for you. Guess who got the interview? Guess who got the job offer? Boom. Jessica reverse engineered their nightmare. She didn't wait for them to tell her what was wrong. She did the homework. Here's how you do this. First, read the job description like you're a freaking detective, okay? Not a checklist maker. What words appear multiple times? What phrases seem really urgent? Must be able to work in fast-paced environment. They're chaotic and overwhelmed. Strong communication skills required. Their last hire couldn't communicate and it caused problems. Second, research the company's most recent news. Did they just get funding? They're scaling fast and probably need someone who can handle growth chaos. Did they just lose a major client? They need someone who can recover and stabilize. Third, look at the hiring manager on LinkedIn. What are they posting about? What challenges are they discussing? If they're complaining about inefficient processes, guess what you should talk about in your next interview? Think about it like you're a doctor, okay? When someone comes to you, you don't just hand them a list of your credentials. You diagnose the problem first, and then you explain how you solve that specific problem. Most candidates show up to interviews like, here's everything I can do, pick something. Top candidates show up like, here's the problem I think you have, and here's exactly how I would fix it. Here's your action item. For every single job that you're applying to, spend 30 minutes researching. Find the nightmare. Then customize every single part of your application, your resume, cover letter, and your interview answers around solving that specific nightmare. Most people think the resume is your ticket to get into the interview. The interview is where you actually perform. Wrong! Top candidates know that your resume, your LinkedIn, your cover letter, your email subject line, all of it is the audition. The interview is just confirmation. Think about it like a concert. You don't buy a ticket to see a band that you've never heard of, right? You listen to their songs first. You watch videos. You read reviews. By the time you buy the ticket, you've already decided that you like them. The concert is just the experience you're paying for. Hiring managers are doing the same thing. By the time they invite you to an interview, they've already decided you're probably pretty darn good. The interview is just confirming what they already believe. So why do most people treat their resume like a boring ticket stub? Just dates, job titles, and duties. It blows my mind. Here's what average resumes say. Managed social media accounts, created content, increased engagement. Cool. So did everyone else. Here's what top candidates' resumes say. Inherited dormant Instagram account, 3K followers, less than 1% engagement. Rebuilt content strategy around user-generated content. resulting in 40,000 followers and 8% average engagement in 6 months, drove $200,000 in attributed revenue. You can literally feel the difference. One is a list of tasks, the other is a mini movie where you're the hero. Every single bullet point on your resume should make the hiring manager think, wait, how the heck did they do that? I need to ask them about this. Let me give you the formula. It's situation plus action plus specific result plus why it mattered. Here's a bad example. Led team of 5 engineers. Here's a good example. Inherited underperforming teams, 2 quarters of missed deadlines, restructured workflows and implemented daily stand-ups, delivered 6 major features on time in Q3, recovering client relationship worth $500,000. Do you see how the second one makes you just lean in a little bit? You want to know more, and that's the point. And here's the thing most people mess up. They save the good stuff for the interview. They think, I'll tell them the impressive details when I talk to them in person. But you never get to talk to them if your resume doesn't make them curious. Think about it like online dating. We're back to dating analogies, but dang it, they work. If your profile is boring and generic, nobody swipes. You don't get to say, but wait, I'm actually a really interesting person. You never ever even get the chance. Your resume is your dating profile. Make it so compelling, they can't not swipe right. Here's your action item. Go through every bullet point on your resume. If it doesn't have a specific number, a specific result, or a specific challenge you overcame, rewrite it. Make every single line something you'd click on if it were a Netflix documentary title. Here's a scenario that happens all the time. You're in an interview, they ask, tell me about a time you improved a process. And your brain goes completely blank. You know you've improved processes, right? You do it all the time. But right now, in this moment, you can't think of a single specific example. I know that's happened to me before. And so you give a really vague answer. Oh yeah, I'm always looking for ways to make things more efficient. I've streamlined several processes at my current job. The interviewer probably nods politely, but inside they're thinking, that's not an answer. Top candidates never have this problem. Do you know why? They keep receipts. I'm talking about a literal document. It could be a Google Doc, it could be a notes app on your phone, it could be a folder in your email where they capture every single win as it happens. Not at the end of the year when you're trying to remember what you did, not when you're about to apply for a job and you're scrambling to update your resume, right when it happens. Think about it like keeping loyalty punch cards at restaurants. If you throw them away and then try to remember how many times you visited 6 months later, you're just guessing. But if you keep the card and punch it every single time, you actually have proof. Here's what goes in your receipts folder. The specific problem, so website load time was 8 seconds, causing 40% bounce rate. What you did, optimized image compression and implemented lazy loading, and the result, reduced load time to 2 seconds, bounce rate dropped to 15%, conversions increased by 23%. And then the date, so January 2026. And then you can add any proof, so screenshots, emails from your boss, analytics dashboards. Every single time you solve a problem, every time you get praise, every time you hit a milestone, it goes in that folder. And then when you're applying for jobs, you're not desperately trying to remember what you did. You're shopping through a catalog of badass achievements. And here's the secret weapon. When you have specific numbers and dates, you sound confident in interviews. You're not saying, I think I improved efficiency by maybe 20%. You're saying, I improved efficiency by 34% between March and June of 2025. That specificity creates belief. I had a client named David who really struggled with interviews. He'd freeze up. He knew he was good at his job, but he couldn't articulate it under pressure. I told him, start a receipts folder. Every Friday, spend 10 minutes documenting the week's wins. 6 months later, David was in an interview for his dream job. They asked, tell me about your biggest professional achievement. And he didn't hesitate. He pulled from his folder. In Q2 2025, I noticed our customer support team was handling 45% of tickets that could be automated. I built a self-service knowledge base and chatbot. Within 90 days, we reduced support tickets by 38%, which freed up the team to focus on high-value customer relationships. We saw customer satisfaction scores increase from 7.2 to 8.9 out of 10. Guess what? He got the freaking job. And he told me later, I wasn't nervous because I wasn't making anything up. I was just reading my receipts. Here's your action item. Create your receipts folder today, like right now, and commit to updating it every Friday for 10 minutes. Future you will thank present you. Okay, let's talk about the most cringeworthy part of job searching, the follow-up. Most people do one of two things. Option A, they don't follow up at all because they don't want to be annoying. Or option B, they send the dreaded just checking in email that makes hiring managers cringe. Top candidates do something completely different. They follow up strategically with value, like they're playing chess instead of just existing. Here's the problem with the just checking in emails. They're about you, your anxiety, your need for an answer. A hiring manager doesn't care about your anxiety. They're really freaking busy. They're probably overwhelmed. You're just checking in email as another thing on their to-do list. But a value-adding follow-up? Now that's interesting. That's memorable. Let me give you an example. I had a client named Rachel. She interviewed for this product manager role, and the interview went really well. They said they'd get back to her in a week. And a week passed, and of course, she hadn't heard anything yet. Average candidate sends, "Hi, I wanted to follow up on my interview last week. I'm very interested in the role. Please let me know if you need anything else from me." Boring, forgettable, desperate. Here's what Rachel sent. "Hey, hiring manager. I've been thinking about our conversation about improving user onboarding. I came across this case study from competitor where they increased activation by 40% using a progressive disclosure model. Given your focus on reducing time to value, this approach might be worth exploring. Thought you'd find it interesting. Still very excited about the opportunity. Happy to discuss further anytime." Do you see what she did? She didn't just check in. She added value. She referenced a specific conversation from the interview, and she shared something useful. She demonstrated that she's already thinking about their problems. That email got a response within 30 minutes, and she did ultimately get the offer. Here's the chess player approach to follow-ups. Move 1 is day 1 after the interview. Send a thank you email, but make it specific. Reference something unique from your conversation. "Thanks for taking the time today. I really enjoyed discussing your approach to X. It reminded me of a project I worked on at Y." Move 2. 1 week later, if you haven't heard back, send a value add email. Share an article, case study, or insight related to something you discussed. Position it as, "This made me think of our conversation." Move 3. 2 weeks later, if you've still heard nothing, send a strategic check-in. "Hi, hiring manager. I know hiring timelines can shift. I'm still very interested in the role, and I'm currently exploring other opportunities. Do you have a sense of when you'll be making a decision? Happy to provide any additional information in the meantime." Notice what you're not doing. You're not begging. You're not desperate. You're treating this like a professional relationship where both parties are evaluating fit. And here's the secret. Every follow-up should make you more attractive, not less. If your follow-up makes you seem needy, just don't send it. Think about it like hosting a party. A good host checks in with the guests. "Hey, do you need a drink? Are you having a good time?" A bad host hovers. "Are you mad at me? Do you like my party? Please say you're having fun." Same intention, but wildly different energy. Here's your action item. For every interview you have, plan your follow-up sequence in advance. Don't wing it. Be strategic and always add value. So let's recap what we just covered. Top candidates don't just apply differently. They operate from a completely different mindset. They act like they're dating, not begging. They reverse engineer the hiring manager's nightmare. They treat every application like an audition. They build a receipts folder so they're never caught off guard. And they follow up like chess players, not stalkers. These aren't small tweaks. These are fundamental shifts in how you approach the job search. And here's what I want you to understand. None of this is about being fake or manipulative. It's about respecting yourself enough to show up as a professional who has options and standards. Because the truth is, you do have options. You do have standards. You've just been taught to hide them during a job search. Stop hiding them. The job market is competitive. Yes, I'll give you that. But it's not because there aren't enough jobs. It's because most people are playing the same mediocre game, applying to hundreds of jobs with generic resumes, giving vague interview answers, and hoping someone picks them. When you do what top candidates do, you're not competing with those people anymore. You're in a completely different league. So here's what I want you to do after this video. Pick one of these 5 things and implement it today. Not all 5, just one. Maybe it's starting your receipts folder. Maybe it's rewriting your resume bullets to include specific results. Maybe it's researching the nightmare for a job you're applying to. Just start somewhere. And if you found this helpful, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel. I release a new video every single Wednesday with tactical career advice that actually works. Also, drop a comment and tell me which of these 5 points surprised you the most. Or better yet, if you've been doing any of these already, tell me how it's worked for you. I read every single comment. And if you want more help in your job search, go ahead and visit resumeassassin.com today. And you can also check out my LinkedIn profile where I post daily tips, Mary-Southern. And remember, you're not desperate, you're selective. So act like it. I'll see you in the next video.